My name is Margaret, but everyone calls me Maggie. I grew up in a small town where everybody knew everybody's business. My family was not rich, but we had love, laughter, and enough drama to fill a whole bookshelf. I was the last child, the one people always called the soft one, because I cried easily and trusted people too fast. I guess that trust is what got me into trouble. I met my husband-to-be, Stephen, in a very funny way. I was walking home from the market carrying a basket of tomatoes when a goat suddenly ran after me. I screamed, dropped everything, and started running. Stephen chased the goat away and rescued my tomatoes, though half of them were already smashed. We both laughed, and that day, something small but beautiful started between us. Months passed. We grew close, then closer, then inseparable. Stephen was a simple man with a calm smile and a heart that did not know how to pretend. He worked hard, loved deeply, and always said, "Maggie, anything my hands touch, I will use it to build a future for us." He kept his promise. When he finally proposed, it wasn't in a fancy place. It was right outside my mother's kitchen while I was holding a tray of Puff Puff. The ring was small but shiny, and the love behind it was big enough to cover a whole nation. I cried, he cried, even my mother cried. Then came the wedding planning. Oh my goodness. That was where the Wahala started. We looked for someone to help us organize everything because we wanted things to go smoothly. That was how we met her, the famous event planner everyone in town called Queen Patricia Events. Oh, she looked perfect. Long nails, eyelashes like broom, a smile that could blind a man, and a voice that sounded too sweet to be trusted. But of course, I trusted her. She said all the right things. "Don't worry, Maggie. I will handle everything. You just relax and enjoy your day." I should have known. Anytime someone tells you to relax too much, it means trouble is coming. Patricia collected money from us little by little, first for the hall, then for decorations, then for chairs, then for food. She always had one new fee to collect. When I asked questions, she would smile and say, "This is how events work, dear, trust me." And I did. Maybe because I didn't want stress. Maybe because I wanted a perfect wedding. Maybe because I didn't want to look like the nagging bride. My mother warned me once. She said, "Maggie, calm down and check things by yourself. A person who talks too sweet may be sweet only on the outside." But I laughed it off. I was wrong. Days before the wedding, Patricia became harder to reach. She would answer calls late. She would send short messages like, "Busy right now." She would promise to call back, but never did. When I complained to Stephen, he said, "Maybe she is just planning hard for us." We believed her. Oh, how foolish we were. On the eve of the wedding, I didn't sleep. My heart kept beating fast like a drum. Something inside me felt wrong, but I pushed it away. I told myself, "It's just fear. Tomorrow will be the biggest day of your life." Morning came. People filled our compound. Laughter, clothes, perfumes, everything was colorful. My bridesmaids were dancing, my aunties were gossiping, and children were running around like tiny goats. I was in my wedding gown, smiling like a princess, when someone rushed into the room. "Auntie Maggie, the hall owner just called. He says nobody has paid for the hall." Everything inside me went cold. My makeup artist paused. "What do you mean nobody has paid?" The girl who brought the message looked confused. "They said the event planner told them you refused to pay, and they are angry, very angry." My legs became weak. I tried calling Patricia. Number not reachable. Stephen tried. Number switched off. My maid of honor tried. Number not available. I felt like the world was falling. Then we heard sirens. The sound grew louder. People began shouting outside. Someone screamed my name. And before I could even think, 4 police officers were standing right in front of me, in my wedding gown with handcuffs. Everything turned upside down. But the worst part, this was only the beginning. Because the person who suddenly ran into the yard shouting, "Stop!" right as the officers tried to take me away, was holding something in his hand that could change everything. Something that made everyone, Even the police stare in shock. The man who ran into the compound shouting, "Stop!" was our neighbor, old Mr. Harold, the same man people called town radio because he knew everybody's business before they even knew it themselves. He was holding a small brown envelope in his hand, waving it like it was a treasure map. The police paused. Everyone paused. Even I, with tears already running down my cheeks and my wedding dress dragging on the ground, froze. Mr. Harold pushed through the crowd, breathing like someone who had just chased a bus. "I have something important you all must see. This concerns the event planner." The police looked at him as if he had lost his mind, but he didn't care. He held up the envelope and said, "This fell from her bag yesterday when she left my shop after buying pure water. I didn't think anything of it until this morning, when I heard she had disappeared." Every head turned. The officer who wanted to handcuff me stepped closer. "What is inside?" Mr. Harold opened the envelope with shaky fingers and pulled out a piece of paper, an invoice. A single, simple invoice that changed everything. It was from the same event hall I was being arrested for. And on the top corner, written clearly in red pen, were the words, "Payment required. Event planner has not paid anything." The crowd exploded. My mother woke up from her fainting spell and began screaming. Stephen grabbed his head like he wanted to tear his hair out. My aunties shouted, "Jesus," as if Jesus himself was standing there selling wedding rice. The officer holding the handcuffs looked at me, then at the paper, then back at me. His face softened just a little. But before anyone could say anything else, the hall owner himself arrived with 3 of his workers. He was a tall, dark man with a voice that sounded like thunder shaking the sky. The moment he stepped inside our compound, he shouted, "Who is the bride?" I raised my shaky hand. He pointed at me. "Madam, your event planner lied. She promised to come and pay yesterday, but she never came. We called her 10 times. She blocked our number this morning. Do you know that your wedding decoration hasn't even started? Do you know the hall is still empty? Not even one chair is there." Gasps filled the air. Women covered their mouths. One child started crying, even though he didn't know why. I felt my heart sink deeper and deeper. Stephen moved to my side and held me tightly. "Sir, we paid her everything, every single thing." The hall owner waved his hands. "Paid her? You paid her? Then where is the money? She didn't give us 1 naira. That is why we called the police. The wedding is supposed to start in 2 hours and the hall is still empty." My entire world spun. 2 hours. No decoration. No chairs. No sound. Nothing. I felt like collapsing. The officer stepped forward. "Sir, I think you may need to calm down. We might be dealing with a fraud case." But the hall owner wasn't finished. "Calm down, me. Calm down. My hall cannot be used until payment is complete. If I don't get my money, nobody is entering that hall today, not even a cockroach." At that moment, the crowd lost control. Voices rose. Aunties screamed. Somebody shouted, "Where is this wicked event planner?" Someone else shouted, "We should find her and tie her to a tree." And while my world was falling apart, while the officers were arguing with the hall owner, while Stephen was begging people to calm down, I suddenly remembered something. The envelope. The paper. If that invoice fell from Patricia's bag, what else fell? Before I could say anything, Mr. Harold spoke again. "There is more inside the envelope." Everybody turned to him. "More?" the officer asked. Mr. Harold nodded slowly, his hand shaking as he reached back into the envelope. "Yes, something I didn't open before because I didn't know it belonged to her." His fingers pulled out another folded paper. The entire compound went silent. Even the goats outside stopped making noise. Mr. Harold unfolded the second paper, and the moment his eyes landed on it, he gasped so loudly you would think he saw a ghost. "What is it?" Stephen asked. Mr. Harold swallowed hard. It's not just an invoice, it's a letter." "A letter?" the police officer asked. "Yes, a letter from someone she owes money. threatening her. The officer snatched the paper gently. His eyes moved from left to right. His eyebrows rose. Then his face hardened into a serious expression. This event planner is in deeper trouble than we thought. The hall owner stepped closer. What does it say? The officer cleared his throat and read. Patricia, you promised to pay us for the last job. This is your final warning. If you don't bring our money, you will regret it. We know where you stay. We know your next event. Don't joke with us. The compound erupted again. Somebody shouted, "Ha!" She was running from her own enemies. Another shouted, "So she used our money to settle her debts." A third voice said, "Or maybe she ran away completely." I felt like I had swallowed a stone. Stephen grabbed the letter from the police. Her last event, her next event, that must be us. Everything clicked. The reason she was always busy. The reason she didn't answer calls. The reason she collected money in small pieces. The reason she disappeared. She was in trouble. And now, she dragged us into trouble with her. One officer turned to me. "Madam, this proves you didn't refuse to pay. But we can't just leave. We need your statement at the station. And the hall owner still insists he must be paid before anyone enters the hall." The hall owner crossed his arms. "Yes, no payment, no wedding." My mother began crying loudly. "Why today? Why on my daughter's wedding day? Why?" I tried to breathe, but the air felt heavy. Everything felt heavy. My dress, my heart, my thoughts. The officer sighed. "Madam, please come with us. We must settle this at the station." My bridesmaid screamed. "No, she can't go." My aunties formed a human shield, like they wanted to fight the police. Stephen held my hands tightly. "I'm coming with you. You're not going alone." But before the officers could move us toward the car, something happened. Something even more shocking. Something that made the hall owner, the police officers, my family, Stephen, and even Mr. Harold stop breathing. A woman suddenly appeared at the entrance of our compound. Her clothes were dirty. Her wig was crooked. Her eyes were red. Her hands were shaking. It was Patricia, the missing event planner. And she whispered only one sentence. "Please, don't let them kill me." Everyone froze. Patricia stood at the entrance of our compound like someone who had just climbed out of a lion's mouth. Her wig was halfway off her head, her lipstick was smeared, and she looked like she had not slept in 2 days. When she whispered, "Please, don't let them kill me," everyone became silent. Even the police. Even the hall owner. Even the noisy children in the backyard froze. I stared at her through my tears. She looked nothing like the confident woman who had smiled at us and promised a perfect wedding. She looked broken, terrified, and desperate. The hall owner took one step forward. You are the one who caused all this," he shouted. Patricia shrank back immediately. Please, don't come near me." The police officers also stepped toward her, but she threw her hands up. "Please, you don't understand. They are looking for me. They followed me last night. I ran away. I've been hiding since 4 a.m. Please help me." The hall owner pointed angrily. "Where is our money?" Patricia burst into tears. "I don't have it. I don't have anything left." Gasps filled the air. People started murmuring, whispering, shaking their heads. Some women held their chests dramatically like they wanted to fall down. Stephen stepped forward, gripping my hand so tightly it almost hurt. "What do you mean you don't have it? We paid you everything." Patricia nodded, crying even harder. Yes, you paid me, but..." "But what?" I asked softly. My voice was shaking, my heart beating fast, my wedding veil fluttering in the wind like a sad ghost. She hid her face and cried louder. "I used the money to pay the people I owe. I didn't plan to, but they threatened me. They said they would beat me. They said they knew where I lived. I was scared. I paid them everything you gave me." Everyone gasped again. The hall owner shouted, "So you used another person's wedding money to settle your debts? Are you mad?" My mother screamed, "You wicked woman, what kind of heart do you have?" Aunties began clapping their hands in anger. The kind of clap that meant a slap was loading. The police officer stepped forward. "Madam, you realize this is fraud." Patricia nodded weakly. I know, but you don't know the kind of people I owe. They don't play. I thought I would get money from another event to replace what I took, but that event canceled. I had no money to pay the hall. I didn't know what to do." She dropped to her knees, the dust covering her clothes. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I didn't want to ruin your wedding. I planned to run to the hall early this morning and beg them to give me time. But when I got home last night, I saw two men standing outside my house. I ran through the back door and didn't stop running until morning." Her voice cracked. "I've been hiding inside a kiosk since dawn. I heard on radio that police came here. I heard my name. I heard everything. I came because I have nowhere else to go. If I go home, those men will find me." Everyone grew quiet. Not because we pitied her, but because her confession made the situation 10 times worse. Stephen pushed his hands through his hair. "So what do we do now? Our wedding is in 2 hours." The hall owner crossed his arms. "Simple, pay for the hall." Stephen looked at him like he wanted to cry. "We don't have more money. We gave everything to her." "Well," the hall owner said coldly, "no payment, no wedding. Even if Jesus himself comes down, no one enters that hall without my money." The place erupted again. People shouted. Aunties argued. The bridesmaids cried. My stomach twisted like I drank spoiled milk. Then suddenly, something even worse happened. Patricia looked behind her suddenly, her eyes wide with fresh fear. "They're coming," she whispered. "Who?" the police officer asked. Patricia pointed a shaking finger toward the gate. "Them, the men, the ones I owe." People turned toward the entrance. A black car slowly drove into the compound. It was shiny. It was tinted. And it looked expensive. Too expensive. 3 big, muscular men stepped out wearing black shirts and dark glasses. They didn't greet anybody. They didn't smile. They didn't blink. They looked like trouble. Real trouble. The man in front, tall, strong, and looking like someone who ate danger for breakfast, pointed straight at Patricia. "You thought you could run." Patricia screamed and hid behind the closest police officer. The crowd scattered. Women grabbed their children. Men backed away immediately. One of the big men stepped closer. "We told you we would come for our money. Today is the day." The police officer held up a hand. "Stop there. You can't just enter someone's compound and threaten people." The big man smiled, an evil smile that showed danger was about to begin. "Officer, this woman owes us money, and today we came to collect." My heart jumped. Stephen pulled me behind him protectively. The hall owner stepped back. Everyone held their breath. This was no longer just a wedding disaster. This was something else. Something deeper. Something dangerous. The leader of the men took off his sunglasses slowly. And in that moment, the compound grew completely silent. He looked at the police officer, then at Patricia, then at me, standing in a wedding gown that was now half dirty, half torn. Then he said a sentence that shocked every single person standing there. A sentence that made even the police officer's face go pale. A sentence that changed everything. "We are not just here for Patricia, we are here for our money. And since she used your wedding funds to pay us, whether you like it or not, you people now owe us." The entire compound screamed. For a second, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. It felt like the whole world froze as those dangerous-looking men stood there in their black shirts, pointing at us like we were the next item on their to-collect list. My wedding gown felt heavier than a sack of cement. My hands shook. My heart was beating so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Stephen stepped in front of me immediately. "What do you mean we owe you? We didn't collect anything from you." The leader of the men folded his arms. "Your event planner used your money to pay us. That means she paid her debt with your money, which means the debt has now shifted to you." The crowd exploded. "Huh, which kind of mathematics is this? That one no makes sense." You people want to cheat innocent people. Is it our fault she is a thief? The police officers stepped forward, forming a small barrier between us and the men. Nobody owes you anything here. If Patricia borrowed money from you, take it up with her properly. The leader of the men gave a cold smile. Officer, with all due respect, we already took it up with her. She ran. We followed her. Now she has brought the trouble to this place. We are not leaving without our money. Patricia began crying again, her tears mixing with dust on her face. Please, please, don't let them carry me. They will beat me. They will kill me. The officer barked. Enough. You three leave now before we detain you. The leader of the men slowly shook his head. Detain us? You don't understand. We didn't come to fight. We came to finish business. The hall owner, who had been shouting since morning, became suddenly quiet, because even he knew these men were not playing. Stephen looked at me, squeezing my hand. Maggie, don't worry. Nothing will happen to you. But truthfully, he was trembling too. My mother stood at the back shouting, God will not allow this. Not today. Not on my daughter's wedding day. Then something unexpected happened. One of the men stepped forward and looked directly at Stephen. You better settle us. We don't want your problems. We only want our money. Stephen raised his voice. We don't have it. We gave everything to her. The big man shrugged. Then you better start thinking fast. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The police officers placed their hands on their belts, their eyes sharp. They weren't afraid, but even they could tell this situation was becoming dangerous. Then from nowhere, Mr. Harold, our town radio, raised his hand. Everyone turned. This man, who couldn't even fight a mosquito, stepped forward like someone who had suddenly grown extra boldness. Gentlemen, he said, let us settle this with sense. This girl, he pointed at Patricia, is the one who owes you, not these innocent children. So if you want your money, leave these ones alone. The leader of the men looked at him for a long moment. Then he laughed, a slow, mocking laugh. Old man, this is not your matter. Stay away. But Mr. Harold didn't step back. Instead, he moved closer. If you touch any of these children, you will see something you've never seen before. Now everybody was confused. Even the police frowned. The leader of the men tilted his head. And who are you? Mr. Harold smiled. Not a nervous smile. A confident smile. A frightening smile. The wrong person to annoy. The three dangerous men looked at each other, confusion spreading across their faces. Then Mr. Harold reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver badge. The whole place became silent. The leader of the men leaned forward to look at it, and his entire face changed. His voice dropped. You're with them. Mr. Harold nodded slowly. Yes, retired, but my connections, my people, my name, still very active. A wave of shock passed through the compound, like electricity. People who were gossiping suddenly went quiet. Women who were crying suddenly opened their eyes. The police officers even stiffened, their eyes widening with recognition. Stephen whispered to me, Maggie, your neighbor is a retired government agent. I whispered back. I thought he was just selling groundnuts and radio batteries. The leader of the men swallowed hard. Sir, we didn't know. Mr. Harold stepped closer to him. You didn't need to know, but now you do. So listen well, leave these children alone. Your money problem is with the event planner. If you try to stress this family today, I will personally make sure you regret coming here. The three men took 2 steps back immediately. The leader of the men placed his hands up. We were leaving, no problem. But Mr. Harold wasn't done. He pointed at Patricia. And if you want to continue breathing fresh air, go with the police and confess everything properly. Patricia nodded like a scared chicken. Why, yes, sir, I will. I will tell them everything. The dangerous men hurried back to their car, entered quickly as if the ground was on fire, and drove away without saying another word. The entire compound burst into noise. Ah, thank God, oh. Village hero. Mr. Harold, you are a lion. Who knew this man was powerful like this? God saved us today. Stephen hugged me tightly. Are you okay? I nodded weakly. I think so, but my wedding. That was when we all turned to the hall owner, who was now the only problem left. He looked around, then sighed deeply. Okay, this whole situation is too much. For the sake of peace, and because this is your wedding day, use the hall. Pay me later. Everyone screamed in joy. Women ululated. Children jumped. My mother danced. Even the police smiled. I burst into tears. Stephen kissed my forehead. Mr. Harold adjusted his shirt like a secret agent in a movie. And just like that, the wedding that almost destroyed my life became the wedding that united the entire community. We rushed to the hall. Everyone helped decorate. Women arranged chairs. Men carried tables. Youth set the sound system. Even the police officers helped lift canopies and boxes. And after everything, Stephen and I finally stood side by side, smiling, hand in hand, before the pastor, to say I do. The crowd cheered. The drums beat loudly. The sun shined gently. And my wedding continued, as if the devil had tried to stop it but failed. Life lesson. Never trust people blindly. Ask questions. Double-check things. And most importantly, God can use the most unexpected people to save you. But that is not the end of the story. Because after the wedding, something happened that shocked everyone again. Something involving Patricia, and a secret she had been hiding for years. But that is a story for another day. Thanks for watching. Kindly drop your comment about this video. And please subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories.